Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and today I'm gonna talk about how smartphones, how phones evolved from birth. So when I say the word phone or mobile phone, the image which comes to my mind is the old Nokia which my father had. When I was a kid, I vividly remember that he had a touchpad phone which had a golf playing game. Yeah, I remember it. I was using the number parts, the buttons to play that game, to aim where I want to shoot, and to long press to determine the intensity with which I need to shoot it. So I remember those experiences, those nostalgic stories or experiences kick me with great energy now when thinking about them. So I started out from such an experience from at such a time. So at that time, I always wanted to download games into the mobile, and I told my father remember that it was a small touchpad phone. I told him that Dad, please go to the nearby shop and get some games installed, and he would say, yeah, he will bring some games along the next time he go to the mobile shop, but he never did. And I was never aware about downloading or installing. I just told him that I want more games in this mobile phone so that I can play in his mobile phone. It was just uh, the urge, the thirst, or desperation to play some digital games. But then later, I saw smartphones in the hands of my neighbor for the first time. I saw those phones were moving. They were showing some movements, or there were some changes on the screen of the phone as we touch it. It was a kind of shock to me. I was like, "Oh, what's this?" So the things are moving as we touch on the screen. That was the kind of reaction I showed. So so that's how the transition started. The digital revolution started by the introduction of smartphones into the public hands. Everything started with the old phones that we had just to call people. I remember the wired telephones which were present in my home. Everything started with it. The purpose of a phone was to allow people to communicate between each other who are distant. That was the sole purpose of communication or sole purpose of a phone. Phones were developed or invented for that to solve that problem. It was the most powerful pinpoint that customers had, and the company solved it, making them horrendously rich. So it was then later BlackBerry came up with a revolutionizing phone with a large number of buttons, and it made a kind of marketing in which BlackBerry phones are held by people who are rich, who are prestige. That's the kind of branding they made. So but later, as Apple introduced the smartphones, the touch phones, BlackBerry lost its market position. People ran towards Apple because Apple provided a better product. BlackBerry never thought that Apple would overtake their position because but because BlackBerry thought that people will still come back to their phones because due to some reasons, I don't know why, but that's what they believed. But the observations and the reality proved them wrong, and they just wiped off their market capitalization. It just wiped away that entire company. And that's what really happened. So, this is what happens when we are not focusing on bringing innovation to the technologies or products that we are building. So, after the Apple launched its smartphone, which is iPhone, a lot of other companies also copied it and created many Android phones, which are smartphones, which have internet connectivity, which allows us to take photos and do multiple kinds of stuffs to play music, songs, and many kind of things. Yeah. So it was a kind of revolutionary product that Apple brought during that time. I think it was around 2008, 2007. I don't clearly remember the year, but it was around those years iPhone was introduced for the first time. Yeah, it was a great progress in the entire history of mankind. But because look at that, for the past billions of years, there were no improvements. Yeah, there were little improvements, but it was a great leap. Assume that this was the level where humanity stood. By the introduction of smartphones and internet, the progress that humanity made elevated from here to here. That's the kind of leap that humanity made by the technological advancement. So, this is the kind of freedom or growth that we are looking forward for. Currently, we are in the age of AI, where AI models are built and worked upon, and we are working towards an era of AGI, where artificial general intelligence exists, so that AI can do a lot of the repetitive tasks and save us from doing boring works, which will help us to focus back on the creative works that matter the most. Yeah, this is the realization I had. I got to this realization from reading books, from reading articles, and from other top people who are currently researching in top universities and doing the works of AI, building AI, fine tuning, and doing a lot of related tasks. I realized that I just need to work on it. So, this is the progress that mobile phones made and how it impacted the humanity in a great way. So I hope you got a better idea about about the evolution of phones, how it started from telephones just to allow humans to call, and it made improvements from a small touchpad phone and then to a smartphone. I think you have got a better idea and I got a deeper understanding about all these things. And see you next week. Winding up. See you soon.